Hey guys, and welcome to the Bayern View. Hope you guys are all doing a-okay. We are here and we are ready for a preview. And yes, I do have a Celtic fan. We've got Paul here from Celtic Fans TV. Please go and check them out if you haven't already. The link will be, the app will be in the title. So yeah, go and check them out. We've literally just done some content with Paul here. So yeah, big up to everybody. We are here again for the preview for the Champions League. And yeah, man, thank you for coming on my channel. And how are you, mate?
Yeah, pleasure, man. Thank you for having us. Yeah, all good. Buzzing for Wednesday's game. Absolutely buzzing for it. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. You know, I just love. You know, I'm sure you're the same as me. You just want to watch your team play. You know, and I'm with that 1000%. Now, obviously, like I said, we've just done a preview on Paul's channel. Please go and check that out. Anyone from my community here. But what are you know, obviously, it was a lot about me in your video because obviously you know about Celtic, you're the Celtic fan and so on. But what are you thinking about getting Bayern? Because obviously you could have got Real Madrid or Bayern, you know. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think for us, we were obviously delighted to make the playoff stages. The new format has helped us. We got a kind draw. So finishing top 24 was always the priority for us. Ironically, if we'd finished 23rd or 24th, we'd probably have had a draw against Atalanta or Dortmund, who we played in the league phase, and are arguably easier games than Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. But we played Real Madrid a couple of years ago, 21-22, I think it was. We lost the home game 3-0. We lost the away game 5-1. It was the first time we'd played them for 40 years. So I think there was the feeling going into this draw that we would have preferred Bayern Munich. And only very, very marginally it was viewed as the slightly easier task. Easier as not the right choice of word, but
I know.
I think we all wanted Bayern. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't take any offense to that whatsoever. You know, when you go up against a team that's got Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe in it, and that's just to name two of those players, I get it 1000%. I'm not an arrogant fan that's going to get offended by those words. But yeah, no, I'm with you 1000%. Now we obviously mentioned it on your video. You know, obviously the Borussia Dortmund game was a a bad defeat for you guys. Now it was in Germany, you know, so take that as you will. And Dortmund haven't actually been the best this season. You know, especially in the Bundesliga, they're not doing very good at all. So, do you feel like, I didn't watch that game? I'm not going to sit here and lie. Like, what do you feel like was the problem in that defeat?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to be over there in the stadium. So it was an incredible trip, and we loved it, and it was great to see Signal doing a part. But then totally forgettable after the game started. I think for us, it was just a perfect storm. Everything went wrong. We lost a goal after a couple of minutes. We actually equalised immediately, so we thought, okay, we'll maybe find our feet now and sort of calm the game down. But it just got away from us. We had gone into the game in brilliant domestic form, and it's obviously really difficult for Celtic to take much sort of encouragement from their domestic form to games at that level, because the difference is so stark between the teams that we face domestically versus in Europe. And we had been playing very much on the front foot, as we do. And I think the game just got away from us really, really quickly. I think looking back at it, I mean, there was a penalty in there. I think there was a deflected goal in there. It just was one of those nights where everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Don't get me wrong, we were miles off it, and Dortmund were by far the better team. But I think we were 5-1 down at half time. It was just one of those nights. But to the team's credit, we have learned from that, because historically we have a dreadful away record in this competition. But the next away game was at Atalanta, who were flying at the time at the top of Serie A. We got a 0-0 draw, and we, until the game at Villa Park there, we lost 4-2. We got a 0-0 draw in Zagreb as well. We actually should have won that game. So we have kind of settled things down, because the away form has always been a real headache for Celtic in the Champions League. And after that game, you felt like the whole campaign could just slide away from us. But we have rectified things, and we've looked a wee bit more solid defensively away from home.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. And again, this competition is weird, isn't it? We've seen teams like Leipzig. Personally, don't like them, of course, but in general, they're doing a-okay, if you want to say, in the league. But then in the Champions League, they've been. I don't even know if they won a game. I don't think they did. Which is mind blowing realistically with some of the talent that they have. So yeah, this competition definitely has hit certain teams. Bayern Munich 12th. If I was to talk to you before this started, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have put us 12th. So same with Real Madrid. They obviously are the champions of the cup right now. So the holders of the cup, shall I say? So it's going to be an interesting match, most definitely. Where do you feel like is your best path to victory, or to get a draw, or a result?
I mean, I think we need Bayern to have an off night. I think when we play these big teams in Europe, we know that for us to have any chance, we need like 11 players to be at the top of their game, and we need most of the Bayern team to have an off night. I think for us, you obviously mentioned in our video that we did about playing a high line, Bayern Munich playing a high line. I think maybe we could get at them. We have been quite quick in counter-attack this season. We have Nicholas Kuhn on the right wing, who was at Bayern Munich as a youth player. He was also at Leipzig. He's been brilliant for us this season. He's really quick. On the left-hand side, we would usually have Daisen Maeda, who is also really, really quick on the counter-attack. He usually plays from the left-hand side. He got sent off against Young Boys, so he missed the Villa game, and he's also suspended for Wednesday. So that's a huge, huge miss for us. We have brought in Jota from Rennes in January, who is a bit of a hero at Celtic from his first time at the club. So he's probably going to play in Maeda's place. And he's a brilliant footballer, but he maybe doesn't have that same pace that Maeda has. And also in January, we sold Kyogo Furuhashi, who's still on the mural behind me, who was also really quick in transition counter-attack situations. It's going to be Adeyemi who plays, and Adeyemi's not as quick. He's a different type of striker. He's more physical. So counter-attack's been good for us. And again, you think we are a team who like to dominate the ball, but obviously against a team of Bayern Munich's level, I would expect you guys to have the majority of possession. And so counter-attack is possibly one of the areas that we could potentially hurt you if we get it right.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I'm with you on that one. Did it hurt, or are you annoyed the fact that you did sell him, because he was one of your best players, wasn't he?
He was. I'm biased because he was a real favourite of mine. But I think it made sense for the club to sell him for £10 million. He's 30 years old, and I think the talk coming out of the club immediately after the transfer and since has been that he really wanted to move on and go to a new challenge, and obviously play in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, which he's now doing, albeit Rennes is a not as big a club as Celtic on a European scale, but I think he wanted to move on and he wanted a fresh challenge, and so the club decided to cash in, and I think it's a good deal given that we signed him for £4.5 million 3.5 years ago, and we've more than doubled our money for a 30-year-old player. The big problem for us is we didn't replace him, so Adeyemi has been technically our second choice striker so far this season. He's now the first choice striker because we didn't bring anyone in to replace Kyogo, which has been a big bugbear for the fans in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no. I'm with you on that one. We kind of had a similar thing with Matis Tel. He was a fan favourite in that aspect. And yeah, we loan. He is on a loan, but Tottenham do have an option to buy, and that's generally because company doesn't like playing the youth players unless he's forced to, i.e. Jamal Musiala obviously being super young. So and talented. With Jota though, do you feel like him coming back to the club, he'll have something to prove? Because obviously it's a massive night in Europe, isn't it?
I think so. I think because of how his careers went when he was here the first time, he left for £25 million and he went to Saudi Arabia, and it just didn't work out for him. I think a lot of players who have gone to Saudi, particularly players who are early in their careers, it hasn't worked out for them. It's obviously been brilliant financially, but in terms of a career move to try and develop further and play at the highest level, it hasn't worked out. It didn't work out for Jota. and then he went to Rennes, and shortly after he joined the manager, they had a change of manager, and this situation has arisen where we could get him back because Rennes wanted Kyogo, and I think those deals were sort of hand in hand. So he was brilliant for us the first time round. The only question mark I think for Wednesday is he hasn't played a lot of football in the last 18 months. He's had one start for us. I think he's played twice off the bench and had one start, maybe 100 odd minutes of football since he arrived. So just the tempo and the intensity that this game is going to be played at, and how much defensive work he's going to have to do. We're just not sure if his fitness is quite at that level yet. But I think he will want to prove a point and to show everybody that he's still got that ability that he had from the first time here.
Yeah, no. So maybe he performed maybe a little bit better in the second leg. You know, because obviously there's going to be games in between, isn't there? So, yeah, that's definitely a player we need to look out for. Obviously, I said it on your preview, mate. The high line, you know, the suspect defenders is going to be where you can hurt us. So let's see what happens, man. I'm excited for it. 110%. I'm excited for it. I do have a random question though for you, because this is the first time of me speaking to a fan of the Scottish League. What is your, and it's a really random question, and be blunt, please do. What's your opinion on like you moving into the Premier League? Because I know that there's always talk of it, but obviously that's your league, isn't it? It's the Scottish Premier League, you know. So what is your? Because obviously the Welsh teams, I know Wales is a lot closer than Scotland, by the way. But like, what is your opinion on like that whole aspect and that conversation?
It's funny because it's the question that everybody asks, particularly supporters of English teams, and I know it's a huge talking point over the years. I think if you go back 20 years, there was probably more of an outside chance of it happening. I think there's clearly absolutely 0% chance of it happening now. Maybe the only sort of future iteration will be like some form of European league, which you can argue the Champions League is morphing into. But I think given the resources that English Premier League clubs have from the broadcast revenue, if you gave that to Celtic over time, given a few seasons to find our feet, we would be right up there in the top 8 and the top 6 competing with those sorts of teams, because we do have a huge fan base. We've got a huge appeal worldwide. We are, in many respects, stuck in this small pond. So to come back to the broadcast revenue that the likes of Bournemouth and Crystal Palace and all of these English Premier League teams have, that above £100 million is like Celtic's annual revenue on a good year. So I think given those resources, we could compete. I really don't, obviously, like I say, I don't see it happening, but I suppose the question about the Scottish League is a good one. I think if you ask a lot of non-Celtic supporters and non-Rangers supporters, they like to be of the opinion that, well, we would love to get rid of them, the two of them, because then the other clubs could win things. And increasingly, it's only really us that win things in recent years. So I think there is that across the rest of the league. But I think if Celtic weren't in the league, it would have huge challenges because of the finances that Celtic brings to Scottish football. And I think it would probably be on a par with the likes of maybe Sweden and different leagues like that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I see where you're coming from, 1000%. And it's kind of the same with the whole that European Super League thingy. That the big teams, the big English teams were going to go in, obviously was going to hurt the football pyramid in England, you know, the lower teams and so on. So no, I understand that in that aspect. And that's obviously why, you know, I'm not sat here, we're going to smash you, blah, 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 because I don't see that happening whatsoever, you know what I mean? I really don't. And check out the preview on Paul's channel. You know, again, links in the title. Like, yeah, I'm expecting a draw. Another random question, though. Where would you put the Scottish League in terms of leagues as a whole, though?
It's difficult. It's a difficult comparison. I think sometimes we look at clubs in the Netherlands and think that they're maybe just a wee bit above us, likes of Ajax, the likes of Feyenoord. They have a bigger league in terms of the number of teams in it. A slightly bigger country. Maybe Belgium. Maybe Belgium is a relatively similar sort of league. We played Club Brugge in the league phase. They were a good side, but I think revenue-wise, we're sort of in and around that range. There's a couple of big teams in Belgium, but again, the league is not recognised as one of the top leagues in Europe. So I think maybe some of the Nordic leagues as well. Like I mentioned, Sweden already, Denmark, Norway, something like that. It's really hard to put it on a level. The difficulty that Scottish teams have is that the teams who qualify for the Europa League and the Conference League now from the Scottish Premiership always struggle against the teams they come up against in qualifiers. So it does paints a really bad picture of the Scottish game sometimes.
No, I can see that because again, like you just said, that it's not pushed as heavy as like the Premier League or whatever. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to revenue. So when you're going against teams that do have a bigger revenue or whatever, and I'm not necessarily talking about Celtic, but the lower teams, in the Conference League and so on, they are gonna get beaten because they're not to the aspect of the other teams, are they? And that's just what it is, I guess. On your prediction though, what are you personally predicting for this game?
Again, it's a difficult one. I think if I predict with my head, I'd probably say that it's so hard to be this pessimistic. You're always hopeful as a supporter, but I would say like a narrow defeat. Like the last time Bayern came to Celtic Park, it was 2-1. I think Javi Martinez scored a late header. We got to 1 each in the game. I think something like that, a performance where we've really been in the game with you, and at best it comes away a narrow defeat, and we've got a 0.1% chance of a miracle in the second leg. That there's still a spectacle in the second leg because, like I say, coming up against teams like this in Europe's difficult for us, and there is a real chance that Bayern just steamroller as if they're in the mood, and it could be 3 or 4-0, and in the second leg's a foregone conclusion. It's hardly worth making the journey for. So it's difficult. I'd really like to say that we could get a draw. Again, if we get everything right on the night and you guys don't perform, I'd like to say that we could get a draw. I think Adeyemi is going to be a huge miss for us. And I think I'd maybe think differently about our chances of getting something if he was playing. But I'm probably going to say a narrow win for Bayern, and I hope it's narrow.
No. I can see where you're coming from, and I'm not trying to compare you with Dynamo. Is it Zagreb that we smashed 9-2? Because you're obviously a massive team. Don't get it twisted. And I respect that. But yeah, looking at the head-to-head quickly here, it was a 2-1 in 2003. Then it was a 0-0 at Celtic Park. Then last time, obviously, you just mentioned it was Celtic versus Bayern was a 2-1 win for Bayern. But before then, the game was already over because in that aspect we won 3-0 in that group stage, didn't we? So in the first game. So, I'm going with a 2-2 draw. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of people saying 2-2 draw against Celtic. Dortmund beat them, and Dortmund's right. Like, whatever. You can have your opinion. Your opinion is absolutely fine. Let me know your opinion in the comments. But for me personally, I'm going with a 2-2 draw because I know how suspect we can be. But anyway, thank you for joining me, Paul. Big up to you, mate. And again, check his channel out, people. And until then, we are out of here. Mia people. Peace.